we start off by heading to Cape Town now. The Global Group on Earth Observation Summit is taking place and focuses on young people being at the forefront of the fight against climate change. The GEO Summit is also expected to share Earth observation data to tackle climate change and the loss of biodiversity. Our reporter Mariska Botha joins us live from the summit. Mariska, all that innovation, you must be swimming in it, and I can just imagine all the beauty that you're seeing there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Behind me is an absolutely stunning display that was set up especially for the summit. And if you walk in there, it's an absolute sensory overload as you hear the sounds and see the sights of planet Earth. There's also particular data that shows the alarming numbers or the figures of how warm Earth has been getting and those hot temperatures recorded across Earth in the last year or so, speaking to us or telling us and warning us about the Earth and the dire crisis that it is in. To speak to us a bit more about this important summit, we have Jana Gevorgian, who's the director of the GEO Secretariat. Ms. Gevorgian, thank you very much for your time. You must be very busy. First of all, just put us in the loop. Why is the summit so important to be held on African soil?
The continent of Africa is such a vibrant continent. It really, to me, represents our global progress. You know, if we get things done right in Africa, we know we will do right by our entire global village. The African population is largely made up of young people who really are the protagonists of our change and our future. So how well we'll do with the young people of Africa, involving them in this digital transformation, making them part of creating informed solutions that will put our relationship with nature at the center of how we live our lives, is going to either make it or break it. That's why it's so excellent that we are holding this seminal GEO Weekend Ministerial Summit in Africa.
That's absolutely true and wonderful that you say that, because it is now the young people's turn to take it forward. Scientists have been warning for years. What is the science telling us in the year 2023?
Well, in 2023, they have already told us that we in the Northern Hemisphere had the hottest summer on the record. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, you've also had the warmest season on the record. And unfortunately, this narrative is not going to change. We can expect this intensifying extreme events getting more and more intense. There was an interesting, actually alarming report published just in 2020 that called the young children born in 2020, children born into climate crisis. So think about it. They will experience 6.8 times more extreme heat events than you and I. And that is a really alarming statistic. So it puts a different kind of burden and responsibility on us here today to get it right, to scale up, accelerate the kind of solutions that will allow them to live a more comfortable life and not really have to suffer as they live their vibrant years.
And there's also a post-2025 strategy. That strategy must be critical in this point in time.
It's absolutely critical because it takes the notion of developing and providing Earth intelligence to all seriously, and it reimagines our global partnership. It recognizes our interdependencies as governments and businesses and civil society and citizens, and it calls for that inclusive participatory approach. It's easier said than done, but we need to generate and cultivate enough political will, enough just human will to work together and work collectively, because the cost of not doing it so is so much greater than any difficulty that we might need to work through to really find a way to work collaboratively.
Speaking of political will, we've heard in recent years international leaders, global leaders, challenging scientific fact. Has there since been perhaps a greater understanding of what the scientists have been talking about? And is there greater response or urgency, especially from global leaders and leading countries?
There are certainly encouraging signs. We saw the world leaders come together last December when they convened in Montreal to talk about the state of nature, and they adopted a really ambitious goals to protect 30% of land and ocean by 2030. We will be seeing the world leaders convene again just next month in Dubai for climate talks. They certainly could still be raising their aspirations and ambitions. They certainly should be making more finance available to allow for implementation of the and achievement of the goals. But where our community steps in, we provide the vision. We make it visible and clear just where we need to go and how well we're doing on that journey. So we cannot give them any excuse to say, well, we didn't know, we couldn't see with our eyes. The technology we have today, the expertise and the ability we have to turn Earth observation into visible information is simply unmatched and unparalleled. And that puts us in a very unique position of having to influence. And it also gives the power to civil society to see exactly how we're doing and to continue to demand and expect and put pressure on political leaders to do right.
You said that a child born in 2020 will live in climate crisis. Coming back to Africa and its young population, what message of hope would you give?
I love that question because indeed, for every challenge that we're facing that seems so insurmountable, there is so much that it's on full display right here that really should give us that hope. We have never had the kind of information and technology available to us as we do today. There is simply no reason why the young people, if they really make applied use of this knowledge and information in their behaviors every day, if they say no to plastic because they know how that plastic ends up in the waterways and how that clogs the vital ecosystems that actually provide extremely important services of purifying water, if they can really develop that literacy, they can turn things around. But it will take a collective action. And so here I'll go beyond just our bread and butter here, Earth observation. My message to the young people is, especially now when the world seems like it's just engulfed in conflict, to be the agents of cooperation and to find ways to work with young people in other cultures across borders, because we all are so interdependent, and our ability to build peace and build peace through our relationship with nature is one of the most available to us ways to do this. And I really hope that they will put that joint collective survival and collective well-being ahead of any other need that may seem like critical and important, because everything just hangs in that balance of our relationship with nature.
Thank you very much. That was Jana Gevorgian, the director of the GEO Secretariat. You heard her. She had some poignant words. There's nothing I can add to that except that there is hope. If the youth take on board what information is available today and doing something as simple as reducing the use of plastic, it will make a difference in the future, because the earth is indeed in crisis.
Yeah. It doesn't take much. I mean, you look at the likes of the young Thunberg to see that the younger generation certainly is committed to doing something about climate change. Mariska, thank you so much for bringing us the latest from the GEO Summit as it unfolds there in Cape Town. Mariska Botha is our reporter.